Hey there, it's me, Todd. Time for another web show of Todd, continuing my series of little acting lessons for all you potential actors out there or people who are interested in acting. You can pick up the book, Amazon, Kindle, pick it up. Especially if you don't like the way I read it out loud. This way you can just read it to yourself. But for now, don't act reason number 4, your education will be a waste of time. At the end of high school, my mind was made up to be an actor, and I thought I should just head on out to Los Angeles and see what I could do. My parents, however, wanted me to go to college and not too far from our home on the East Coast. They were willing to pay for higher education, but if I decided to forego the experience for La La Land, then I was on my own. Well, I may be an idiot, but I'm nobody's fool. So I opted to major in acting at NYU. There, I would spend 4 years studying and practicing the craft of acting, developing an appreciation for the profession's history as well as honing my own personal skills. It seemed like a marvelous idea. Here is what any given day of classes might have looked like for me. 8:15 a.m., movement class. To start a day with movement. I can't imagine any other way. In this class, I would learn how to move my body. Yes, it would seem that I should already know how to do that. Generally, the class would start with some yoga, which I found ruefully dull, and then we would all start running around the room behaving like animals. Animals is not a metaphor here. We actually pretended we were beasts of the jungle. I often chose to act like a monkey, which I quite enjoyed. 10:30 a.m. technique class. This was a class that was supposed to delve into the nuances of acting and how to go about using said nuances to enhance one's performance. Frankly, I never could see much difference between a technique class and a scene study class. Both involve preparing scenes, performing them for the class, and then getting critiqued by the teacher. But they had different names, so they must have somehow been different, right? Everyone had a scene and a scene partner. It was up to my partner and me to prepare the scene outside of class, memorize the lines, and try to figure the best possible way to play the given circumstances, which were the who, what, where, when, why of things. At some point during the semester, I would do my scene in front of the class. The teacher would usually give constructive criticism, which means he or she would, in the gentlest possible way, tell me and my partner that we sucked. The rest of the time, I would sit and be bored while watching other people suck. Noonish, the lunch break. This always involved bagels with cream cheese, which in New York was ludicrously expensive. The idea of being able to pay for an actual sandwich was a dream I dared not dream. Often, while eating my bagel and cream cheese, I would try to find a scene partner for the next scene on which I was to start working. The most important criteria for a scene partner were that she was a she and really hot and wore tight clothes. And when selecting the scene on which to work, it was vital to find one that involved kissing and, wherever possible, heavy petting. After downing the bagel and begging the pretty young redhead to do a sequence from Sex, Lies, and Videotape, I had to walk from the small studio where the morning classes were held on 42nd Street up to the Broadway Theater on 50th Street where the afternoon classes were held. This walk took me directly through Hell's Kitchen, and this was well before Mayor Giuliani sucked all the fun out of the city. I was almost always accosted by transvestite hookers who would accuse me of being a fill in your favorite homophobic slur of choice here when I didn't take them up on their reasonable rates. One once proclaimed loudly that I looked like Carol Burnett, and from that day on, all the transvestite hookers in Hell's Kitchen referred to me as Carol. So that's a badge of honor right there. 1:10 p.m., voice class. Any number of wonderful things could happen in voice class, which was easily my favorite. Obviously, sometimes the instructor would lead us through vocal warm-ups, which meant we would hum and bark and groan and say tongue twisters. I lost my place. Again, easy on the criticisms, honestly, I'm not getting paid for this. Other times we would work on relaxation, which meant we would each pick a spot on the floor, lie down, and meditate, which in some circles is referred to as napping. But by far the most fun were the massage classes. In these classes, either we would partner up, again, very important to pick a hot chick with tight clothes, and take turns kneading one another's bodies. Or we would do what was called a group massage, where one person would be massaged by a crew of 4 or 5. Some people got really freaked out when it was their turn to be massaged by the group, the sensation too overwhelming to handle. Others got an erection. And by others, I mean me. Apologize for that. 3:30 p.m. scene study. This was exactly like the technique class, as I said before, although it had a bit extra pretension. There was a lot of sense memory work done in class. Some sense memory is a way to prepare for the emotional state you are supposed to assume for a scene by manner of looking into your past and remembering a moment using all your senses. For me, the sense of smell always brought back the strongest recollections, which I think is pretty common. For example, during a block of classes where we were exploring the 7 deadly sins using text from Goethe's Faust, one young woman worked on lust by eating juicy fruits such as mangoes and kiwi while disrobing and recollecting a steamy night with a lover. Yes, I am aware of the amount of money my parents were spending just so I could watch a sex act. I myself worked on MV, simply recalling my high school graduation where I received no awards for my work in the theater while others were showered with trophies. I got myself to cry, which was an important lesson for me. And I had never before been so emotional in front of so many people. After the class, everyone told me how impressed they were with my work, except for this one guy who said I was a loser for not getting any awards. Now, the question is, has any of this knowledge come in handy for me on any of my professional jobs? No. When you are dressed as a giant butterfly and all you have to say is, "Hey, how's it going?" there is no call for the ability to cry, howl, or act like a monkey. In fact, you don't even have to act like a butterfly. If you did, it wouldn't be funny. It would just be weird. It also occurs to me that college was nothing but an exhaustive preparation for the off chance that I might get lucky. Everything I learned only comes in handy if a career that actually requires acting already exists. At no point was I ever taught how the heck I might get some work. And that, my good reader, is the lesson that would have mattered most. That's it for this week. See you later. Great talking to you. And back off about me messing up the words sometimes. You guys, it just hurts.